Like, I'd rather piss you off than me sit up here in discomfort. And that didn't come through osmosis. That didn't come through me wishing and praying that things get easier. That came from me heightening my standards of how I show up for myself. So if I'm good enough for me, I gotta be good enough for you. And that's just what it is. You don't have a discipline problem at all. You know how to get things done. What you have is a body that treats your goals, your ambitions, and your gifts like they are a risk. Because over time, you've learned that going after the things that you want to do and being your true self is not safe. So we had to learn how to push that down and how to kind of pacify the parts of ourselves that wants to be seen and heard and expressed and felt, and instead focus on the regular life, going to the jobs, the 9 to 5, just making nice and just making do. I felt like I wasn't disciplined for a long time. I felt like I was inconsistent. I felt like I was lazy. I felt like I just didn't have that thing in me that I see a lot of other successful people have. So for a while, I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll get the big things that I want one day, but just not today. And I don't think I really faced it. And then I think I got to the point where I was never like hopeless, like, oh my gosh, things are never going to happen for me. I'm never going to be able to go after it, go after my dream and live life on my terms. I don't think I got like that, but I did get to a point where I got very frustrated and desperate because I just felt like nowhere I go and anything I try to do is not working. I set a goal, I don't hit it. So over time of that happening for years, for a very long time, I think it trained me in a really negative way to think that when I come up against some sort of resistance or come up against some sort of friction toward my goal, that means to stop, that's a signal to stop. I'm tired now. I'm undisciplined now. I have no motivation. I'm depressed. Right? Like then I start labeling myself with all these adjectives and all these isms. And I'm just like, is that necessarily true? Or could this be a case where I've been so used to not honoring my true self, my true voice, my true mission, to where when I get close to it, I get scared. So before you go ahead and diagnose yourself and get scared and feel like, life is hopeless or you won't ever be able to go after the goals that you set out for yourself, ask yourself some very important questions. If I do get the success and I do hit the heights that I've always visualized getting, how do I feel about that? What am I scared of? Because we talk a lot about the fear of failure, but we don't talk enough about the fear of success. Because what happens if you really do make it? What happens if you're that first person in your family to break these generational curses and the first one in your family to stop drinking or using drugs or to get your master's degree or to have a very high paying job and move your family into a good neighborhood and get good schools and good grades and things like that? What happens then? And I think for me, when I really visualize the life like I really want, I was always deathly afraid of being seen. I think that living small and playing small protected me in a lot of ways, where it's like I didn't have to be fully exposed. And if I don't have to be fully exposed, that means that I'll never really be hurt because you never got to really see me. And I think for me, that was the biggest reward to playing small. And then I found all these reasons why it was necessary for me to play small and be small and why it was okay. Now, I got that ancestral fighter spirit in me. Okay, I don't know about you, but for me, it was always another voice like, nah, listen, this ain't it. This ain't it. We have to continue. We have to try. We have to get on these YouTube videos, even though it makes you uncomfortable. We have to keep going even when nobody's watching. We have to keep being an entrepreneur, even when it feels like you want to quit. We have to keep going. So I always had that engine in me somewhere, but sometimes it would be overridden by just fear. I didn't want to be seen. I don't want nobody to know me. I don't want anybody to dislike me. And I think I had this idea that if I could just control people's perceptions of me so that they will like me or I will feel accepted, then I'll be good. Because I know once I start talking and really, really talking how I feel, not everybody's going to like me. And I think that's something that just now I got comfortable with. Not everybody's going to understand me. Not everybody's going to care for me. And that's okay, because I can think of a good bunch of people that I don't really feel either. And that's all right. We're not all meant to like each other, and that's fine. But for me, that felt so big to be seen, and just to think of someone's face scrunching up because of something I said that might be a little unorthodox, or I'm rubbing people the wrong way. And now that I'm showing up, now that I'm being consistent on my YouTube channel, now that I'm being consistent with how I'm eating, with how I'm getting my steps in, with how I'm going to the gym, with how I treat myself, with the standards that I make higher for myself, it's easier for me to get up here and be seen. It's still not easy, but it's way easier because I live a life that I'm proud of. I don't really do anything that I'm ashamed of. So if you see me in my realness and in my rawness, I invite the eyes. I invite the critical eyes and I invite the kind eyes. I'd prefer the kind eyes. I want to get along with people. I want to make friends and I want to have that like soul tribe that completely gets me and gets the mission. But I'm also not going to not be myself because I will be misunderstood. I don't give a damn about that anymore. Not as much as I used to. I care a little bit, but not that damn much. Like I'd rather piss you off than me sit up here in discomfort. And that didn't come through osmosis. That didn't come through me wishing and praying that things get easier. That came from me heightening my standards of how I show up for myself. So if I'm good enough for me, I gotta be good enough for you. And that's just what it is. So as I was saying, it's not so much that you're not disciplined, but there is something that you may be fearing if you do succeed. Because remember, playing small is not just like, oh, I'm just depressed about it and I'm sad and I want to live this robust life, but it's not happening. It protects you. It protects you. It really acts as a shield. It really acts as armor. It acts as a veil. And everybody is out here faking, right? Like we're all letting people meet our representatives. Nobody's out here being completely real. Like everybody talks about, oh, I'm real and I don't fake and I'm not this, I'm not. Yeah, we're all kind of fake. We're all kind of like putting on. And those people who don't have shields and don't have the armor, that's why we love them. That's why we appreciate Kanye. You can call him whichever you want. You can think he's nuts. You can think this, you can think that. But what we can all agree on is Kanye don't give a fuck. And I think that's a level of freedom that I wish I could be. I don't think I'll ever be quite like Ye, right? But I do think that there's a part of me that desires to be uninhibited. So that way I can be fully expressed in this life of mine. And I think that's why we marvel at people who are like that. So just like me, the sooner that you're real with yourself about why it protects you to be undisciplined and why it protects you to be lazy and protects you to be inconsistent, you'll start to see like, wow, it's not as scary as you might have thought. Because once you open up that door, that dark, dusty, scary door, you don't know what lies behind it. But once I opened up the door and saw that like this was actually a protective mechanism and there's nothing actually functionally or fundamentally wrong with me, there was something freeing about that. And I talk about that a lot, being honest with ourselves, how the truth will set you free, like it really will. So I challenge you to open up that dungeon, that door that's scary, and look behind there and really figure it out. Because I promise you're not going to find that you're lazy and inconsistent. Those are just words that we throw around. You're going to find that you're afraid of intimacy. You're going to find that you are afraid of truly being seen. You're going to find that you feel deep down inadequate for when you get there. You're going to find that you're trying to punch above your weight class. That's how you're going to feel. It's very basic. We're all a lot similar than I think we give ourselves credit for, but you will, I believe, somewhere in that dark, dusty door of yours, what you're going to find is that you feel like you don't stack up in certain ways. It could be self-esteem. I mean, is it that far-fetched to assume that? I mean, look at the world. It literally is orchestrated around giving us mental health and self-esteem issues. Every commercial I look at is GLP-1s, Ozempic this, change your nose that, put this hair on, lighten your skin, darken your skin, lose the damn weight, find a man. You're not worthy if you're over 30 and you're not in a relationship. You know, so we have a lot going on and like a lot of different kind of, a lot of different pulls on our mind, our mental health and our emotional health and our spiritual health. So don't take that lightly for how much that has conditioned you to also not feel so great about yourself. It's not that you hate yourself. You don't hate yourself. You love yourself. I really believe that we love ourselves more than we think. But the way that we're conditioned is in a way that doesn't support our most thriving self. And then we accidentally identify as that. So now we're coining ourselves with terms like I'm lazy, I'm inconsistent, I'm undisciplined, I can't do it, I'm not shit, or I'm inadequate, or I'm depressed, I'm anxious. Not saying that some of those things can't be true for you, but we have to start looking at things from a different lens. We have to start relating to ourselves a bit differently. So I want you to pause this video. Tell me down below, what is behind your dark, dusty door? Am I the only one who has a dark, dusty door that I was afraid to open? Because I know I'm not. All right. So let me know down below and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.